So it's my first time being to the dance, so it's a lot of excitement, to be with this group. It's a young group, but forming a bond with them, that's like it's unbreakable. So it's like for this to be the first time going with them, it's just great. So.
And Nick, same question for you.
Yeah, like you said, just it was exciting to see our name getting called. A lot of people didn't think we'd be in this position right here, so we're not taking it for granted, and we're ready to get out, have some fun, and make some noise.
And finally, Miles.
I'd say it was a lot more nerve-wracking this year. Past 2 years we were able to come in the tournament as a 5 seed, so a little bit more uncertain this time around. But we're all grateful to be in this position, and we know how happy a lot of college basketball players would be to be here right now.
Let's open up the floor for questions. Raise your hand if you have one, and we'll get you a microphone. Let's go to the second row on the end.
John Schaefer, San Diego Sports 760. Just curious, Jared, when you made the decision to join San Diego State, I'm sure you envisioned or hoped to reach the NCAA tournament. How gratifying is that, half a year or a year later?
Super gratifying. I mean, it's a dream come true, but there's a lot of work to be done. So, I was super excited. I know that there's a different type of approach we're gonna have to take in postseason. So.
One for Nick, when you think about the last couple of years for you having the opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament, but to join an entirely new team, and then you look at the overall youth on this team, what was it like to get to this point in your first year at San Diego State?
Man, it was important to me. Like that's why I came here to win. Obviously, like you said, we have a young team, but it just shows our character as a team. Just a bunch of guys who have grit, have fight, and we're gonna have to take them characteristics to the game tomorrow. So, like Jerry said, gratifying, but we got to do more work.
And then finally, for Miles, I have here in the notes from a year ago, just 8% of scoring back from last year's team, and to get all the way to the NCAA tournament. What does it say about San Diego State's program?
Just a standard we have at San Diego State. Lost a lot of guys the year before last year. Lost a lot of guys last year. So for us to be able to come back here 3 years in a row after a lot of new teams and a lot of new faces on the teams, it just shows the work that Coach Dutch and our assistants do to get us ready for this point.
Other questions for our student athletes? Let's go to the second row on the near side.
Hi, Paul Chu, Media, University of Dane. So you guys have a great resume coming into the tournament at the first 4. However, only playing UNC twice in the men's basketball history. So with that being said, how is this team preparing to face a legacy team like the Tar Heels?
Miles?
I think I just seen somewhere that we're 0-2 all time against UNC, and the last time I think we played was 1990. So a lot of different identities. They've had a new coach in there since the last time we played. Obviously, we have a whole new team. But I think it's just us prepping for any other basketball game. They're a really talented team, a really good group, but I think so are we, and it's just about how we prepare coming into the game tomorrow.
Nick, you want to take a stab at that question pertaining to the matchup tomorrow night against UNC?
I just think it's a mindset. I don't even feel like yesterday we got our name called, so we didn't have much time to prepare. But it just comes down to a mindset. What your mind gonna be like out there, and at the end of the day, whoever has the mental strength as well as the physical strength to just keep going throughout the game, the highs and lows, gonna be on top.
Jared?
For me, I just think. And to agree with them, it's just a mindset. Going out there, preparing, watching film. Getting a lot of mental reps before this game. I think that we're a very talented team, and we can take on whatever anybody throws at us. So just preparing for it and being ready for the challenge.
Let's go back to the second row.
All right, John Schaefer again, San Diego Sports 760. For Miles and Nick, having gone through tournament games previously, what's it like in that first game in a new tournament in terms of just being prepared and ready for what it takes to get through that initial game?
Miles?
I think, with us, it's just setting the tone. Be the first one to hit on every shot, lock in defensively like we always do. Yeah, and just play freely. I mean, Coach Dutch always says that players make plays in March. So I mean, a lot of it's going to come down to us in the end of the game. Sets can only get us so far, and at the end of the day, we just need to be ready to play a competitive game versus a really good team.
Nick?
Yeah, like you said, just players make plays, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of these tournament games, like you play a team that you're like so unfamiliar with, so it's kind of hard to really prep and kind of be ready in terms of X's and O's standpoint. But I just think it comes down to your mindset, like you said, hitting on the first shot, just setting the tone, and if you do that, you give yourself a chance to start a run.
For those that are online, just a reminder, you can ask a question to our student athletes and using the hand feature on Zoom. Other questions? We'll go across the aisle.
Paul Chu again, University of Dayton. So for Nick, this is your first year, like as mentioned, as an Aztec for San Diego State. How are you feeling coming into the first four initially?
I'm feeling blessed. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, I mean, I feel like last year with my team, obviously, we had a great team, but we kind of took like these moments for granted. So that was just like ultimately when I was thinking, like before the selection show yesterday, just like whatever it is, whatever happens, can't take none of these moments for granted because it's very hard to get in these seats right here and have an opportunity to play on the biggest stage. So I'm feeling blessed, and I'm just excited and happy that I could go out there, play with these guys again, get another shot at that, and then ultimately just play for my family.
Let's go in the back of the room, last row.
Don Nelson from Ohio University. With a young team like you guys have, how do you handle the highs and lows throughout the season?
And we'll start with Jared.
I think it's one thing. It's like you can never get too high or too low. It's like it's all about a mindset and just having the will to push through. When you have a great game, learning and learning what you can do better from a great game and learning what you can do better from a bad game. So it's all about just staying even keeled and really focusing on what you can be better at and growing through everything.
Nick?
Man, I keep saying the same thing, but I think it's just like your everyday approach. Like whether you win or you lose, how you gonna come into practice the next day? Like you gonna come in there ready to bust your butt, or you gonna take a day off? And I think this group, like we do a good job of competing and just having fight. And I think we've been through some highs and lows throughout this season. Obviously, beat one of the best teams in the country and then lost a couple at home too. So we've seen both sides of it, but just our ability to come back the next day and fight in practice gave us this opportunity right here.
Finally, Miles.
Yeah, no, I agree with Nick. I think we can kind of have a mindset at San Diego State. It's win, lose, draw, we still work. So, we've lost some games that we feel like as a group we shouldn't have lost. But I never think that kind of takes our intent away from practice the next day or whenever our next practice is. I think every single time we get the group inside the gym, which is our practice facility, we're in there ready to get better and, take steps further as a group. And I think that helps us out as the year goes on.
Nick, you mentioned beating, one of the best in the country. When San Diego State's at its best, what's that look like in the Aztecs and in your way of going about wins?
Man, I mean, I could go down the line. I think playing with swagger ultimately, like our defense is something that's a given. Like we're gonna come every night and guard for 40 minutes, but when we're on that offensive end, just being ourselves, Miles Byrd hitting a step back three, or Jared making a good pass or getting a dunk, Goon blocking shots on the other end, BJ Davis picking up the best guards in the country full court, and then we got guys with the bench, our two freshmen who come in and handle business. That's when we're at our best, when we're playing with joy and we have that swag about us and that edge.
Jared, you mentioned this is your first trip to the dance. Growing up, and then also just watching March Madness, do you have a favorite tournament moment?
Not gonna lie, Villanova, the buzzer beater, that was like amazing to me. I used to fantasize about hitting a buzzer beater for a championship game, just like being in a flow state, being prepared enough to knock that shot down. Like it's a crazy feeling. I'm trying to get there right now. It's my first time, so we're going to see what it do.
Make it a memory tomorrow night. I'll ask the same question to Nick.
Yeah.
Your favorite March Madness moment?
Sheesh. I probably just have to say, man, it's kind of hard. But I say obviously going to the Final Four was exciting, dream come true, and then obviously having a buzzer beater in the first round against Memphis at the last couple seconds. I don't know if it was a buzzer beater, but last 1 second. So yeah, that's probably my two right there.
Miles?
I think probably the Final Four game winning. I was on the team. It was happened to be against Nick's team, but I think that was one of my favorite sports memories I've been a part of. That and Villanova. Obviously, my dad went to Villanova, played at Villanova, so he was at that game. I remember watching on TV, and that was a pretty magical moment as well.
Let's go back to the second row on the end.
John Schaefer against San Diego Sports 760. I probably asked you each this in the preseason, but how surreal is it now for Miles and Nick specifically, having been on the floor at the same time, I mean, in the Final Four in Houston, to now be teammates in an NCAA tournament together? I know you envisioned this when you got together 6 or 8 months ago. How surreal is it now that you're both here together?
I mean, I think it's just the everyday work. I think we've seen this, play and unfold for the past however long. I think on his visit, I was one of his hosts, and we talked about stuff like that. So, I mean, we've both seen it before, and we're both trying to reach that big stage again. Once you get there, you kind of crave that feeling again. So, I would definitely feel like we both got that hunger to get back there.
Yeah, like he said, it is surreal though, cause I never thought I'd probably be in this position right now, especially playing a team that knocked us off in such a harsh way. But yeah, it's just surreal, man. I'm just proud. I'm really proud of this team. And that's all I could really think about. Just even yesterday, man, I just want this moment. When we lost against Boise in Las Vegas, I was just upset because I just wanted this moment right here for this team, because I know, what type of bonds it creates and what it could do for guys forever. So it's surreal, and it was just funny that it all worked out this way, and I'm just grateful and blessed.
Let's go to the third row on the far end.
Patrick Sableski from the University of Dayton. Obviously, you guys traveled here on short notice, a long distance. Does that affect the way you prepare and approach this game at all?
Miles?
No, I don't think so. I think, we're a really youthful group who's got a good mentality about it. I couldn't remember there was a game early in the year where we were supposed to play Cal, and we were supposed to fly out the day before the game, and, the flight gets delayed, then it gets canceled, and we drive up to L.A. to try to fly to L.A. that night, and it didn't work. And we ended up flying in maybe 2 or 3 hours before the game started, and, we ended up going and playing one of our better games of the season. So I wouldn't say adversity is going to make us play better instantly, but, I think, our team does a good job around rallying around each other for moments like this.
Nick?
Yeah, like you said, I think the same. I think it kind of helps us in a sense. Like you said, we're youthful. Sometimes scouting reports could be a lot for a bunch of guys who, it's a big moment. We're in March Madness, and when you kind of simplify it in the fact where we just got to go out there and play, sometimes it works out in our favor, and I think that's something I'm looking forward to.
And Jared?
Yeah, I mean, like they said, it's about just locking in and watching the scout and watching the players, whatever it's called. But yeah, we were on the plane, and we were all just watching the scout, and we were watching the sets and just refreshing our minds. And I think that just locking in and having been through that adversity before, flying out and getting stuck in airports and not being able to fly the day before, I just feel like it's prepared us for this moment, so we'll be good.
Got a few more minutes here with our student athletes. Other questions? Go back to the third row. Let's go in the middle there.
Ryan Mulcahy, University of Dayton. You touched on this a little bit earlier, but what do you guys think the identity of this team is, and how's that going to end up contributing to success in the tournament?
Jared?
I think our identity is in our defense and our effort. I think that if we play we play really good defense, and we play with effort, and we play with swagger, I think that everything else is going to handle itself, honestly.
Yeah, like he said, yeah, just I want to be the hardest playing team in this tournament, and if we do that, I think we'll like where we'll be at, and we'll have a chance to beat a good UNC team tomorrow night.
And that says all the time. If we get defense and defensive rebound, I think it gives us a pretty good chance against any team in the country. And like Nick and Jared both said earlier, that when we bring the swag and that freedom and confidence to the game that we can and we're capable of doing, I think it gives us a good chance against anybody.
San Diego State's obviously had a lot of success looking over the last few years, and so has the Mountain West. Boise State gets left out this year, but they were here a year ago in the first four. Miles, how tough is the Mountain West Conference?
Yeah, I don't think people on the East Coast really understand what the Mountain West is really about. Like, I think every game you got to go in there and it's going to be a grind. There's a lot of physical teams in the Mountain West. A lot of them whose identities, kind of revolve around rebounding, like Boise State. And one of the biggest things that people don't take into account is the altitude that you play in. Most of the away teams have altitude at their gym. So, as a team from sea level, you're going out to Utah State to play in the mountains, and then you're going to Colorado State to play in the mountains. Like, that has a little bit more effect as well. So I don't think they I don't know how they take into account the committee or whatever, but I think that's one of the things that gets left untouched or untalked about.
And I'll ask the same question to you, Jared, and this being your first year in the Mountain West.
Like Miles said, it's very physical. People just really identify with rebounding. I mean, the coach has been preaching that to us all year. Just defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding, establishing ourselves in the paint. To touch on altitude, I think, it's a big thing. I remember going to, I know Wyoming is pretty high, but, Air Force is the one that affected me the most. I think the gym was super cold and it's connected to, a ice rink or something like that, but, it was, the air was thin, it was cold. We had to, mentally lock in for every game, and it's a grind. It's a long, rough season, and you have to really take care of your body and be prepared for the next game, so.
Well, amongst the long season, it continues for you guys, and we are so excited to watch you tomorrow night, and we wish you the best of luck against North Carolina.
Thank you.